Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hollywood Remembers video. Today, we're honoring the American stars we've recently lost, along with other beloved figures who have touched our lives around the world. Before we dive in, if this video resonates with you, we'd truly appreciate a like. It helps us continue sharing these heartfelt tributes with the respect and care they deserve. Thank you for your support, and now, let's begin. James Van Der Beek will forever be remembered as the heartfelt soul of a generation. Through his portrayal of Dawson Leary on Dawson's Creek, he gave voice to youthful dreams, tender hopes, and the quiet courage it takes to grow up. With sincerity in his eyes and conviction in his words, he captured the fragile beauty of first love and friendship in a way that resonated deeply with audiences of all ages. One unforgettable moment, his tearful, vulnerable reflections on love and loss touched millions and reminded us that sensitivity is not weakness, but strength. In those scenes, many saw their own children, their younger selves, and the universal longing to be understood. Beyond the screen, his work stands as a testament to storytelling that honors emotion and authenticity. His legacy endures not only in reruns and cherished memories, but in the enduring conversations about family, dreams, and resilience that his performances inspired. He leaves behind a body of work that continues to comfort and uplift. As we reflect on his life and career, let us celebrate the grace he brought to our television screens and the warmth he left in our hearts. If his performances touched your life, consider sharing your memories and the moments that meant the most to you. In remembering him, we keep his light shining, steady, gentle, and everlasting. Catherine O'Hara graced the world with a rare blend of wit, warmth, and extraordinary talent across more than 5 decades. From her unforgettable comedic brilliance to her deeply human performances, she possessed the remarkable gift of making audiences laugh while gently touching their hearts. Many will forever cherish her portrayal of Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, a performance that sparkled with originality and earned her some of the industry's highest honors. Yet long before and beyond that celebrated role, she had already become a beloved presence, whether bringing laughter to families in Home Alone or lending her distinctive voice to cherished animated characters. Each role reflected her intelligence, impeccable timing, and unmistakable grace. Her legacy is measured not only in awards, a Genie, a Golden Globe, multiple Screen Actors Guild, and Primetime Emmy honors, but in the joy she shared so generously. She reminded us that humor can be elegant, that resilience can be playful, and that artistry can endure across generations. As we reflect on her remarkable life, may we celebrate the laughter she gifted us and the dignity with which she carried her craft. If her performances brightened your days or became part of your family traditions, consider sharing your memories. In doing so, we honor a luminous spirit whose work will continue to inspire smiles and gratitude for years to come. Patrick Hastert will be remembered for the steady presence he brought to those who knew him and the quiet strength that defined his journey. Born on December 12, 1959, his life was marked by dedication, resilience, and a sincere commitment to the people and causes he held dear. Those who crossed his path often speak of his integrity and the calm assurance he offered in moments of uncertainty. Whether through professional endeavors or personal connections, he carried himself with dignity and a thoughtful spirit that earned lasting respect. It was in these everyday gestures, firm handshakes, encouraging words, and steadfast reliability that his true character shone brightest. His passing in February 2026 leaves a space that cannot easily be filled. Yet his influence endures in the lives he touched and the values he embodied.
The measure of a life is not only in grand achievements, but in kindness extended, responsibilities honored, and quiet examples set for others to follow. In this, he leaves a meaningful legacy. As we pause to remember Patrick Hastert, let us reflect on the importance of steadfast character and compassion in our own lives. If you shared a memory, a lesson, or a meaningful moment with him, consider honoring his legacy by sharing that story. In remembrance, we celebrate a life lived with purpose, grace, and enduring impact.
There is a particular kind of presence that does not need to announce itself. It does not rush into the room, nor does it compete with noise. It simply settles in, steady and unmistakable, like a familiar melody drifting through an open window at dusk. For decades, Neil Diamond has carried that kind of presence, not as spectacle, not as urgency, but as something far more enduring. A voice and spirit that have walked alongside the lives of millions, quietly weaving themselves into memory. Long after charts have shifted and headlines have faded, his songs remain like well-worn photographs kept in a drawer by the bedside. They are not pulled out for display every day, yet they are never far from reach. For many who came of age in the 1960s and 70s, his music was not merely entertainment, it was companionship. It filled living rooms, car rides, wedding receptions, and solitary evenings with a kind of emotional steadiness that felt both personal and shared. There is something deeply human in the way he sings. The tone is not polished to perfection in a distant, untouchable way. Instead, it carries texture, warmth, even a trace of vulnerability. In Sweet Carolines, in Cracklin' Rosie, in Song Sung Blue, there is an openness that suggests not performance alone, but participation in life itself. The audience does not stand apart from him, they stand with him. They clap, they sing, they remember. Over time, that shared participation has become a kind of quiet cultural thread. In stadiums and small gatherings alike, when Sweet Caroline begins, voices rise instinctively. Generations who were not yet born when the song was first released now know every word. It is a rare achievement, not simply to create a popular song, but to create something that feels inherited, a melody passed from parent to child, from one era to another, without losing its warmth. Yet beyond the familiar choruses, there is the figure of the man himself. Born in Brooklyn, shaped by the energy and restlessness of New York, he carried with him an early understanding of longing for connection, for expression, for something larger than the narrow boundaries of a single neighborhood. That longing became fuel. It shaped his songwriting, giving it a searching quality that listeners recognized in their own hearts. Even at the height of his commercial success, there was an earnestness that refused to fade. He did not hide behind irony. He did not distance himself from emotion. Instead, he leaned into it, allowing sentiment to stand unapologetically at the center of his work. In a world that often rewards detachment, that sincerity has proven to be one of his greatest strengths. It is precisely why his music continues to resonate. As the decades have moved forward, the public image of Neil Diamond has shifted from young hitmaker to seasoned artist, from chart-topping sensation to beloved cultural figure. But beneath those changing labels lies a continuity that is striking, the same commitment to melody, the same willingness to step onto a stage and give himself fully to the moment, the same unmistakable voice, instantly recognizable after only a single line. In recent years, as he has stepped back from touring due to health challenges, there has been no sense of disappearance. Instead, there has been a deepening of appreciation. When he made appearances, even briefly, the response was not frantic but reverent. Audiences rose not out of habit, but out of gratitude. They understood that they were witnessing not merely a performer, but a lifetime of devotion to song. There is dignity in that arc. Dignity in continuing to create, to connect, to be present in whatever way is possible. For those who have followed his journey across decades, this is not a story of fading light. It is a story of sustained glow, a reminder that influence does not have to shout to be lasting. Neil Diamond stands today as more than a catalogue of hits. He stands as a testament to the quiet power of constancy, to the way a single voice carried faithfully through time. can become part of the emotional architecture of countless lives. And in that steady presence, there is something profoundly reassuring. There is a moment in life when applause no longer feels like the measure of worth. It becomes something else, an echo of shared experience rather than a verdict of success. In the later chapters of his career, Neil Diamond has seemed to inhabit that understanding with uncommon grace. The roar of stadium crowds, once the defining soundtrack of his evenings, has softened into something quieter, yet no less meaningful. The enduring knowledge that his work has settled into the lives of others. When he announced that Parkinson's disease would prevent him from touring, the reaction was not merely disappointment, it was collective recognition. Recognition of the years he had given, of the thousands of nights spent under stage lights, of the emotional generosity poured into each performance. There was no sense of spectacle in that announcement. It carried instead the tone of a man who had nothing left to prove and nothing to defend. He had already woven himself into the cultural fabric. In his mature years, what stands out most is not the height of his fame, but the steadiness of his character. Fame by its nature is volatile. It surges and recedes, yet Neil Diamond's presence has felt remarkably stable. He has never chased reinvention for its own sake. Even as musical styles shifted dramatically around him, from rock to disco to digital pop, he maintained a core identity. The baritone warmth, the earnest phrasing, the emotional clarity. These were not trends, they were commitments. Watching him perform in his later tours carried a particular poignancy, not because of fragility, but because of depth. The man on stage was no longer the youthful songwriter striving to be heard. He was a seasoned artist, carrying decades of memory in his voice. Each lyric felt layered with lived experience. Lines that once sounded like youthful yearning now carried the weight of reflection. Time had not diminished the songs, it had deepened them. There is something profoundly reassuring in witnessing an artist age without surrendering authenticity. In a culture often preoccupied with novelty, the sight of a familiar figure standing firmly in his own history feels almost radical. He did not attempt to disguise the passage of years. He allowed it to show, in his posture, in the timbre of his voice, in the gentler pacing of his movements. That transparency invited respect rather than sympathy. The public appearances he has made since stepping back from touring have been received with a tenderness that transcends fandom. When he appeared at events, even briefly, audiences responded not with the frenzy reserved for fleeting trends, but with sustained affection. It was as though people were greeting an old friend. The songs, when sung together, carried an added layer of gratitude. The shared choruses became affirmations of connection that had endured across decades. His catalogue continues to find new listeners. Younger artists reference him. Sporting events resound with his melodies. Films and television programs draw upon his songs to evoke eras and emotions that remain instantly recognizable. This ongoing presence is not accidental. It speaks to craftsmanship. His songwriting has always been anchored in strong melodic lines and clear storytelling. Those qualities do not expire. Yet beyond the music itself lies another dimension of his later years: reflection. In interviews, he has spoken candidly about struggle, about the pressures of success, about the toll of constant performance. There is humility in those admissions. They remind us that behind the iconic image stands a human being who navigated uncertainty, self-doubt, and perseverance like anyone else. That honesty deepens the bond between artist and audience. For those who have traveled alongside his music for half a century or more, seeing him now carries a quiet, emotional resonance. It is not about nostalgia alone, it is about continuity. The same man who once stood before microphones in modest studios now stands as a figure of cultural permanence. The arc between those points is long, but it is unbroken. In his maturity, Neil Diamond embodies something rare, a life lived publicly, yet grounded in private integrity. He does not appear diminished by stepping away from the road. Instead, he appears settled, aware of the fullness of what has been accomplished. The stage may no longer define his daily routine, but the resonance of his work continues to move outward, steady and unwavering. There are artists whose work marks a particular season, and there are those whose songs seem to move through the years with the quiet confidence of something permanent. Neil Diamond belongs to the latter. His music has not remained confined to the era that first embraced it. Instead, it has continued to surface in places both expected and surprising, like a familiar voice calling gently from across time. Walk into a baseball stadium on a summer evening and listen as thousands of voices join together in Sweet Caroline. The scene has repeated itself countless times, long after the song first climbed the charts. The melody does not belong to a single generation anymore. It has become communal property, carried by families who sing it side by side, grandparents, parents, grandchildren, each bringing their own history to the chorus. That kind of continuity cannot be manufactured. It grows slowly, through repetition and affection. The same is true of America, a song that has taken on a life far beyond its original recording. It is played at civic events, heard during national celebrations, and woven into moments of collective reflection. There is an expansiveness in that composition, a sense of striving and gratitude intertwined. It captures something essential without becoming rigid or doctrinaire. Its power lies in feeling rather than proclamation. Over time, his music has found new contexts in film and television, introducing him to audiences who may not immediately recognize the face but instantly respond to the sound. When a familiar melody underscores a cinematic moment, it carries with it decades of emotional association. A scene gains weight because the song has already lived in so many hearts. In this way, Neil Diamond's voice continues to participate in contemporary storytelling, even as he himself lives at a quieter pace. It is worth considering how rare such endurance truly is. The music industry is often described in terms of rapid cycles, of artists who flare brightly and then recede. Yet here stands a songwriter whose compositions have outlived shifting technologies, changing tastes, and evolving distribution methods. From vinyl records to streaming platforms, his work has traveled without losing its essential character. The format has changed, the feeling has not. Part of this resilience lies in the simplicity at the core of his craft. His melodies are clear, memorable, and emotionally direct. His lyrics speak in language that feels accessible rather than ornate. There is a universality in that approach. He does not rely on cleverness alone. He relies on sincerity. And sincerity, when expressed with skill, does not grow obsolete. Recognition has followed him in tangible ways as well. Inductions into halls of fame, prestigious honors, public tributes, these acknowledgements confirm what audiences have long known. Yet the deeper recognition occurs in more private spaces. It happens when someone chooses one of his songs for a wedding dance, or plays it softly during a quiet evening at home. It happens when a radio station turns to his catalogue during moments that call for reassurance. In recent appearances, even brief ones, there is a sense of gentle continuity. The voice may carry the marks of time, but it remains unmistakable. The phrasing, the cadence, the emotional clarity, these endure. When he stands before a microphone today, there is no need for grand gestures. His very presence carries decades of shared memory. For many who have grown older alongside him, there is comfort in that shared timeline. His music has accompanied courtships, careers, celebrations, and challenges. It has been present in the background of ordinary days and at the center of extraordinary ones. To hear it now is to be reminded not only of the artist, but of one's own journey. Neil Diamond continues to occupy a singular place in American culture, not as a relic of a bygone era, but as an active thread in the ongoing fabric of song. His work still resonates, still gathers voices together, still offers space for reflection and joy. And in that ongoing resonance, there is a profound sense of gratitude for the constancy of a voice that has remained, through every passing year, both familiar and steadfast. If you would like another tribute in this same spirit to a different living artist, just tell me the name.